Okay, so today we're going to talk about 26 lessons I learned from $100,000 per month accounting firms. My name is Mark Howard. I am the founder of TaxPlow. We help entrepreneurial accountants get to their first $100,000 per month in revenue. So the lessons that you're going to learn today are all from accountants that we actually help get to that $100,000 per month mark or higher. So firms like Cohesion Advisors, who went from $0 to $120,000 per month. They are well on their way to tracking to just about $200,000 a month by the end of this year in recurring subscription revenue. Firms like Sadowski and Company CPAs, who close $1 million in new clients. And these are just some of the stories. So let's talk about who this is for. This may not be for you. So this is for accounting firms, CPAs, bookkeepers, and tax pros. Your revenue is between $100,000 to $5 million. You have about 1 to 10 staff members. You have a desire to eventually sell your firm for a higher multiple. Now, you don't have to sell your firm one day. If you do, that's great. You're going to find it to be a lot more valuable with these lessons. If not, you can continue to run your business for as long as you like. The desire to convert more recurring revenue business clients, we're going to dig into that pretty deeply. And you understand how MRR makes your firm more valuable. If you don't know what MRR stands for, this is probably not for you at this point, no offense. And you want the option to have more junior members closing sales while you focus on better service. Now, if you're the rainmaker at your firm, you love the sales, you love closing deals, that's great. You're going to learn a lot here. If you are in a position where you are growing, you're actually scaling significantly, you want to start to offset the closing and rainmaking to maybe junior employees or other members of your firm, you're going to find a lot of valuable lessons. Feel free to share this video with them as well. So let's dig into it. So the first lesson is outcomes over hours. This is a big theme here. Basically, price based on outcomes, not hours. Shift client perception from commodity to strategic partner. Results matter more than time spent. Okay, so it doesn't matter that you spent 100 hours on a project or 10 hours on a project. Most businesses, particularly when you're dealing with businesses or high net individuals, they care about results, right? Okay, so true, their time is valuable, but when you can show tangible results, then this is something that actually moves the needle a lot more from them. So the more you can focus on those hours and not get caught up with the hours are definitely important, right? You may be billing on an hourly or an hourly basis right now, but when you start to roll in more outcomes, and I'll show some examples of that, you can actually command a higher and more premium fee. Lesson 2, charge for expertise. Stop giving away free advice, okay? Clients pay for your years of experience, not just your time. Make them invest in their success, okay? So I'm talking about skin in the game here, right, for your clients, right? They need to respect you, and they need to respect that, hey, this 10 minutes that I had on the phone with you to save you $100,000, the reason why I charge such a high fee is not because, sure, it was just 10 minutes of my time, but it took me 10 years to get to the point where I can distill that in 10 minutes for you, okay? So that's kind of the attitude you need to take to understand better ways to, justify your fees and charge for that expertise. Lesson 3, visual storytelling wins, okay? So, everyone is not a numbers person, okay? Most people are visual folks, right? So use visuals to explain complex concepts. Clients grasp value better through visual aids. Make your insights accessible, okay? So again, trying to, when you're doing, for example, sales presentations, use more charts, more graphics, so you can actually visually storytell, right? So maybe this is how much you're saving, but when you can kind of put that into a visual method, it actually not only makes it easier for them to understand, but it makes it a lot more memorable, right? A lot of accountants are still not doing this, right? They're still just trying to go through the numbers and eyes are glazing over, right? You don't want that. You want to be a visual person. Okay, emphasize tangible benefits. That's lesson number 4. So highlight specific outcomes like improved cash flow or tax savings. Show clear benefits, not technical jargon. Make it relatable, okay? Now, you're not always going to be able to show tangible benefits. Maybe you're on the first call, maybe you didn't collect enough information, or maybe they're in a situation where they're doing okay. Maybe there are really no particular tax strategies that they can really leverage at this point. Maybe they are perhaps doing better than their industry peers, right? So there may not be a lot of tangible things, but when you can actually show some tangible benefits in relation to their peers or any other data that you can provide, and make it in a way that is easy for them to understand, make it relatable, you're going to have a very different conversation, and that highly boosts your sales closing rates when you can speak in that particular manner. Okay, lesson number 5, FTE formula for value. This is one of my favorites, and that stands for financial, time-based, and emotional. So frame services with financial, time-based, and emotional outcomes, FTE. Showcase the full value. Clients need to see the bigger picture, okay? So what do I mean by that? I mean, think about the services that you offer, maybe bookkeeping, FP&A, outsource accounting, tax planning. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of services, right? But let's just say maybe you're offering bookkeeping, right? Sure, you provide bookkeeping, you catch up those books, you code those transactions, right? But every other accountant says that, right? So if you're using the FTE formula, you're building in some additional things, right? You're not just doing the bookkeeping, you're providing a peace of mind for the books. You're helping them in terms of their sanity, of being able to understand exactly what's going on in their business so they can focus more on what they're doing best, scaling their own business, right? So when you are able to throw in more financial, time-based, and emotional outcomes in that particular way that you talk about the results that you deliver, it makes it more effective for them, and it's easier for you to have them on as a client and continue to work with them. And they really appreciate that because, again, not a lot of other accountants are using that particular approach. Lesson 6, productize your services. Another favorite of mine, so create marketable productized services, boost scalability and profitability with streamlined solutions, simplify your offerings, right? So what do I mean by productize your services? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that, right? You can have services like, let's just say maybe you're doing, I don't know, like an IRS audit or something like that. That is a productized service, right? So you can kind of cap that and say, hey, this is what we're charging. We're charging $1,000 for this particular audit, and that's kind of like a product, right? I'm not referring so much to that where you're basically, it's because it's still hours of your time. I'm talking about in terms of how can you productize so it's more of a passive stream for you, right? And I go into a lot of this on another video of ours here, but basically the idea is that you can basically have productized services for things that you offer, digital products, courses, certain tools that you're selling, curriculums, right? So think about how can you actually productize your expertise in a way that basically you're able to sell that 24/7, on your site. And it's a great thing because, prospects probably really don't know you well in the very beginning, right? So how can they actually get a taste of what you provide? And then if they need more, they can do that. One quick stat for you is that it's so much easier to bring on a new client that has at least spent some money with you in the past than nothing, right? So even if they bought that $100 QuickBooks course that you sold online on your website, it's much more easier for them to become a full-blown bookkeeping client of yours than if they did not purchase that course, okay? And another reason for that is that, like I said, they may not be ready for you now, right? But they know that, hey, I went to that accountant and I had a great experience with their course, but my current bookkeeping person, kind of sucks right now, so I need someone else. So you're basically going to be top of mind for that particular person. Okay, lesson number 7, avoid the free advice trap. This is another one. So charge for your expertise to ensure clients value and act on your advice. Okay, so free advice often leads to inaction. So it's so easy for us to want to have, you get on a phone call with a client, you want them to perceive you as a person of authority that knows what you're talking about, and it's so easy for us to just basically give out free advice. It feels good, because we naturally like to help people in our profession, but the problem with that is this is something that clients are willing to pay for and pay you handsomely for, okay? The big part of that is that a lot of times free advice often leads to inaction, right? So how many times have you given out like maybe a great plan or tax strategies only to have this same conversation at the end of the year? They haven't taken any action, right? So when you have clients give more skin in the game, it's easier for them to take action, okay? Lesson number 8, differentiate by specialization. So specialize in high value services, command higher fees by being the expert, not a generalist. Stand out from the competition. Okay, so this one, it really depends on where you are in terms of what horizontals or verticals you're in and the firm revenue size, but just to generalize, right? The larger you are, the more easier it is to specialize, right? So a smaller firm, maybe you're making less than $200,000 or $300,000 per year. You're more than likely the sole proprietor, right? You're jack of all trades. You got to do the bookkeeping, you're going to do the tax prep, the planning, the filing, yada, 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 right? So, but when you can say, hey, now this next piece is actually for smaller firms or larger firms, right? Because you win better clients by being able to target them specifically. So let's just say maybe you serve different industries, right? And maybe you serve different verticals, different industries, and you provide all kinds of services. Maybe you're a full service accounting firm or CPA firm, right? But when you target them, you want to speak to where they are, right? So maybe you're saying, hey, we help construction firms that are $5 to $20 million in revenue outsource their bookkeeping and their FP&A, right? Or they outsource CFO. We the outsource CFO for these particular businesses, right? So when you can really zero in on that, and by verticals, I mean the kind of industry verticals that you work with, maybe dentists, real estate, construction, so on and so forth. And then horizontals, the services that you actually provide, whether it's bookkeeping, tax prep, so on and so forth, okay? So that's how you really stand out from the competition. And you can target different industries and different verticals, right? You have a general website, but you can still target those individuals as well. Okay. Number 9, use AI for better pricing. So leverage AI to enhance pricing strategies, provide accurate value-based pricing, embrace technology for better outcomes, okay? This is actually what we live and breathe at TaxPlow. We literally built a platform so you can ask the right questions in the right order at the right time to build up confidence from your clients that you are the one that they should go even though you're charging a higher fee, and to be able to confidently show outcomes within minutes using our AI platform. So if you're not, a TaxPlow member, then you can still leverage various pricing methodologies. It takes a little longer, but AI is it's going to be a lot bigger by the end of this year. There are some big announcements that are coming out. So as an accountant, you need to be aware of these things, because at the end of the day, a lot of AI is driving down the prices for certain firms, right? It's basically getting a lot of accounting firms in more of a commodity situation, and you want to be the opposite of that, right? So there are ways that you can actually leverage AI, right? So it's more about working with AI, not against it, okay? Okay, lesson number 10, position your firm strategically. So Define your firm by what you don't do. Attract the right clients with clarity, specialize, and focus. So this kind of builds on the niche thing I just talked about a little earlier. But this is when you talk about, sometimes it's easier to talk about what you don't do and to actually turn down business for what you don't do, right? So maybe you don't do audit work, right? But it's or you don't do bookkeeping, but it's so tempting because maybe they're looking for an accountant that they're saying, hey, sure, you're $2,000 a month, but can you also do my payroll? I'm really looking for someone. I would love to come on if you can take care of my payroll. It can be so tempting to do that, right? But if that's not your specialization, sure, maybe 1 or 2 times. But when you start to give in more and more, then you suddenly become a payroll servicing provider as well, and maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe that's not your expertise, okay? So try to stick to your guns on that, and I know it's really harder in the beginning, but when you position your firm on, being clear what you don't do, and you can always partner with other folks, right? If you're a bookkeeping firm, you don't do tax preparation or or planning work, then you can easily partner with other firms that can do that, and you can have a symbiotic reciprocal relationship with that other firm. Lesson number 11, always ask what's in it for them. So highlight direct benefits. Clear communication builds trust. Make your value proposition straightforward, okay? So excuse me, when you're talking to a lot of clients, they're always thinking in their mind, what's in it for them, right? So when you come to it when you approach them on kind of like, here are the benefits we're providing for you, here are the outcomes we're providing for you, these are all the things that you're getting with us, right? So the more you make it about them, they I don't want to say they can care less, but all accountants are saying, hey, we have such great customer service, we've been in business for 20 years, we have 3 locations across the state. These are more and more commodity kind of things, right? They can easily compare you with like other customer services and other things like that, right? The harder you are to compare, the easier it is to win clients, and the better ones at that, right? So when you're telling them what's in it for them, more specifically, the more specific the better, the more you stand out from the crowd. Lesson number 12, effective discovery calls. So use deep discovery calls to tailor pricing, personalize for impact, understand client needs thoroughly. So, when you're tailoring pricing, I'm not talking about like the little tiered menu pricing where you're doing like, oh, this is the gold, this is the bronze, silver, gold plan. That's nice. And that typically works for, typically smaller firms that are under, say $400,000 in revenue or so, to some degree, right? But the more you can actually show this is specific pricing based on your specific situation, the more they actually believe that, right? And the more they believe you put a lot of effort into that, right? Imagine having like a 3-hour conversation, and then at the end it's like, okay, here's our website. I think you belong in the silver plan, right? It just seems like you didn't really pay attention to their needs, right? You're trying to like just really like put a square peg in a round hole. You're trying to just shoo them in somewhere into this firm. It just, there is a psychology on the other side. They're like, well, I think I should just go with one of these three pricing plans, but at the end of the day, it's usually not a good fit. This is why when you go to a lot of websites these days, you probably noticed that it's like, well, if there's like a bronze, silver, or gold plan, it'll say like starting at this number, right? So bronze starting at $600 a month, silver starting at $1,000 a month, gold starting at $1,400 a month, right? Starting at, right? So when you get when that client gets on the phone with you at the end, they're like, oh, well, I thought your bronze started at $600 a month. Why are you saying that it's $975 a month now? Then you have to explain, oh, well, that little fine print said starting at, right? So it's kind of like an awkward situation. There are pros and cons of using that and leading with the kind of bronze, silver, gold. But if you can price out more accurately, again, It helps significantly. So that's the point of a deep discovery call, like really digging into their situation, understanding exactly what you're doing, asking the right questions, listening, and being able to show them exactly what services are matching what they're saying, but also getting these other cues from them, kind of like emotional, financial, time savings things that they're telling you about, and weaving them into your pricing helps significantly, as I mentioned, with kind of like the FTE method approach. Okay, number 13, build trust through results. Okay, so clients trust professionals who deliver results. Focus on outcomes. Reputation for results drives business. Okay, so this is more about how can you show that you actually deliver results, right? So a lot of times you can do that through things like case studies. You can do that through reviews, through testimonials, right? The more results you can actually show, the more you build trust, right? So why not let your current client speak for you, right? So instead of just kind of like just talking about how great you are, let your results show that work, right? So if you have proven results, right, and I hope you do, right, then you should be able to show that. And believe me, clients respond a lot more, prospects respond a lot more to that than you just saying that you produce the results without having any proof. Okay. Lesson number 14: avoid price comparisons. Emphasize unique value and outcomes. Don't compete on price alone. Make comparisons irrelevant. Okay, so it kind of ties into that whole commodity situation, and the situation is really getting worse in our industry, right? Because you're competing with a lot of these high-tech firms for bookkeeping, for tax prep, the TurboTax is out there, the H&R Blocks, no offense if you are a member of them. But, again, the harder you are to compare, the better it's going to be for your practice and your growth, okay? So you want to get out of the business of these nitpicky conversations. Well, hey, I was actually talking to 5 other accountants, and it looks like these other guys are a little cheaper. You're $600 a month, and these folks are all under $500, right? If you are at the point where you're kind of squabbling over a price difference, you have not communicated value, okay? If you're ever in a situation where you're talking about price and you're losing sales because of price, it's not because you're charging too much, it's because you're not showing them the value or outcomes, right? Or you're not just communicating enough authority so that they actually believe that. And again, all this stuff ties together, right? Your outcomes, your trust profiles, your authority, the case studies that you have, the testimonials that you have, the reviews that you have, right? All this helps you to stop being compared to other accountants, okay? Bottom line. Okay, number 15. Educate with purpose. So provide educational content to convert, not just inform. Turn knowledge into business. Educate with intent, okay? And this is basically just how many different ways can you educate, right? So every interaction is not a sales conversation. A lot of this stuff, more than half your time should be on education, right? When you're not providing the service, you should be educating, right? Through videos, through articles, through other methods, right? So the more you educate, the easier it is for them to to have more trust in you, because you're just providing ways that you're helping them help themselves before they come on board with you. Okay, create passive income streams. All right, so that's lesson 16. So develop productized services for passive income. Scale with less effort. Diversify your revenue streams. Okay. So this is more. I was mentioning earlier just kind of ways that you can productize your service. This is more on the passive ways, right? So how can you more passively help your revenue stream? Because you're providing these hourly services, right? But if you can have some ways that you're actually generating passive, and that doesn't have to be you, right? Maybe your team members can produce certain things that can bring other passive income in, right? And it really helps to diversify your revenue stream. So from a firm acquisition perspective, let's just say you're looking to sell your firm one day, or you're thinking about it right now. One of the big factors in firm valuation is recurring revenue, right? But one of the factors about recurring revenue is, well, if it's actually a passive stream versus a non-passive stream, right? So if you're saying, hey, well, we actually have about $20,000 a month in passive revenue that we're getting through our courses, through our curriculum, through our tools, that makes it a lot more valuable in the long run, and it actually increases your multiple, okay? So creating passive income streams is something that you should look forward to doing more and more, because it actually just builds over time. All right, lesson number 17, rich people value time. Okay. Rich clients value their time more than their money. Make offers that save them time. Time is their true currency, okay? I don't know how else to explain this, but basically, you get to a certain point where, basically, poor people value money more than time. Rich people value time more than money, okay? If that doesn't make sense now, that will eventually when you kind of move up the ladder, but you have to think about it in terms of that, right? So if you're, if you have a client, maybe maybe this is let's just say a client that you can maybe make, $500,000 in revenue in terms of like their lifetime value, right? Or maybe they are a higher revenue client, right? They want to know. They don't have a lot of time to go into this, right? So the more you can tell them this is how much I'm saving you time, or making it easier for them, that easier the conversation is going to be, right? They're not going to respond so much to things like discounting versus how you're actually saving them time, so they can go and focus on bigger and better things. Lesson number 18, wealthy clients are easier, okay? So this is kind of a piggyback on that last part. So high-paying clients are easier to work with. They trust you and don't micromanage. Aim for high-ticket clients, okay? So wealthier clients are not asking you like, hey, I don't know, just kind of give you an example. It's just like you get on a call and you close a deal, and you close the deal, and then if it's like maybe let's just say something small, like maybe a $300 a month client, they're typically kind of, maybe they're beginners. They're not doing a lot of revenue right now. So when that $300 a month is a lot to them, so they're gonna be back and forth with you. They're going to say, hey, this is a lot of money. I want you to make sure, you're going to treat us right, blah, blah, blah. Whereas a wealthy client is just like, you close the deal and they're like, money sent. Looking forward to getting started. It's simple as that. So again, wealthy clients are easier. I'm not saying, so it's kind of funny because it's actually easier to get wealthier clients when you're on the phone with them to close the deal than it is to actually get them on the phone. So it's easier to close the deal once you have them on the phone than to get them on the phone, whereas it's easier to get poor clients on the phone than to close the deal, right? Because poor clients want to ask a bunch of questions. Maybe they don't do their homework, they don't do their research, they're struggling, but they all want to get on a phone call with you, maybe to give away that free advice, to get that free advice, and then probably doing a lot of this, or getting on a bunch of free calls to get free accountants from, accountants and CPAs like you, right? You don't want any part of that, right? So again, that's just a pro tip that I've learned over the years, and I find it very effective. Okay, lesson number 19, confidence in fulfillment. So fear of not delivering can sabotage sales. Be confident in your ability to fulfill client needs. Confident sells, okay? So don't shoot yourself in the foot at the end of the call by just being a little wishy-washy about the results that you can provide. If you know you do good service and you can deliver results, be confident about that. You know, it really shows in the conversation. Or if you're just having a phone call, people can actually hear and detect that in your voice, okay? Be confident about if you're providing good results, if you have the case studies, you have the testimonials, you have the referrals, act like it, okay? Simple as that. Lesson number 20, own your results. So you determine your results, not external factors. Approach every client engagement with a success mindset. Make it work, okay? So this is just about you, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Let it be easily trackable, right? So if you have like certain KPIs that and I hope you're working with KPIs with clients, right? So you can just basically show what those deliverables are going to be. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're blaming other things for your lack of results, okay? Clients don't want to hear about the cost of living or maybe this other issues you're having with staff, right? Some clients are nice, some are not, but at the end of the day, you have to focus on what you can control, not what you can't control, okay? Lesson 21, simplify your systems. Overly complex systems waste time and money. Simplify your processes for efficiency and effectiveness. Focus on what works, okay? So, and when I'm talking about simplify your systems, I'm not just talking about like automation. Like if you're not using things like Zapier or Draw.com or other automation systems to put a lot of your processes on autopilot, you should probably look into that right away, okay? That's like baseline stuff these days. But I'm also talking about understanding your entire flow, right? So being able to put some sort of flow chart together, like, hey, this is our client acquisition process, this is our sales process, this is our onboarding process, these are the folks that do this is our process that kicks off this is how we alert clients, right? This should be a flow chart, right? I mean, I get on a call a lot of times and I ask, like, what do you have what systems do you have in place for, automation or understanding exactly, what your team is working on, right? So it's beyond CRMs, it's beyond ERPs, it's really understanding like what that flow can be, right? Just literally like having a funnel and conversion rates, for maybe sales and marketing, and internal for processes, for onboarding, right? Being able to track various KPIs for customer services, right? If you don't have that in place, I highly recommend it because it's easier to have a conversation. Like I can say like, hey, let me take a look at your processes and I can tell you based on the thousands of accountants that I've worked with, like some of the things that you might be able to tweak. And I do this all the time, right? I love pointing out things like, hey, look, I can't believe you're doing this. Don't do that anymore. This can result in X, Y, or Z, okay? Okay. Lesson number 22, social proof is king. Collect and showcase client success stories. Social proof drives more leads and higher conversions. People follow success, okay? So it's just like, hey, it's nothing like being able to bring on better, more profitable clients because other clients are referring, and that's because of your social proof, right? That's because other people are talking about you, kind of like I mentioned a little earlier. But, collecting those client success stories, showcasing your value. Don't be afraid to ask for testimonials. Video testimonials is something that, I personally love. It shows a lot of character. Anyone can put a little quote on the site. Oh, this person saved us this, or this person is like awesome to work with. Anyone can like make this stuff. So get like a video testimonial. These are like a great thing to have. You can reuse an asset many times, different places on your website, on your follow-up emails, your client acquisition outreaches, on YouTube, on your social media. It really works. Just do it. Okay, lesson number 23. Most clients decide before the call. This I love. So prospects Google you, okay? This is 2024. You know, when you have a conversation or before they even get on the call, they're going to Google you to see like who you are, right? So the more helpful content you put out, the more people trust and the more credibility you build. Make your sales call easier by educating prospects before your first call, right? So like right now, you may be Googling Mark Howard TaxPlow, right? And you should be able to see not just me talking about stuff, but other people as well, other social proof, other folks that are saying, hey, these are the results that we've had with these guys, right? So before you get on an accounting call with a potential client, right, they're going to be Googling like, XYZ bookkeeping or CPA services, right? They're going to see who you are. They're going to look at your reviews, So basically, unfortunately, a lot of us lose before the call because, right, if the first time they get on the call with you, you're doing a lot of education, you're telling them like who you are, that's stuff that should have happened before the call, okay? And the more authority you can build up, the more trust you can build up before that actual call, the easier it is to close, the easier it is for them to come on board with you as a client, okay? Lesson number 24, measure ROI rigorously. Okay, so track the ROI of all your expenses, use what works and ditch what doesn't, make every dollar count. Okay, this is what we tell our clients anyway, right? Track your expenses, right? But I'm talking about specifically the ROI of different expenses, right? Like where are you in terms of, this is your customer acquisition cost, right? This is the systems that you're using, right? This is what's working, what's not working. We all use like dozens of different software, right? And every year we go through this same little merry-go-round of, should I renew this subscription? Or I think so, I don't want to cancel. Or I think this is good for us. Or I think my team is using this. Or I saw that YouTube person said, this is I saw that demo, it looks so cool. You don't want to be in that situation, right? If the better you're able to kind of track these systems, right? If you're using a practice management software, right? How are you tracking its results? If you're using a customer acquisition system, if you're using, an outsourced marketer or, cold emailing, you want to be able to track what you're paying for, right? What is it? The famous management consultant, Peter Drucker, said, you can't manage what you can't measure, right? So you want to be able to do that as much as humanly possible. Okay, lesson number 25. Everything is a skill issue. Lead generation, sales, pricing are all skills. Improve your skills to see better results. Invest in yourself, okay? So, I hear a lot of like, well, I can't close, or, we're not getting leads right now, or, I just, they're saying no to my higher prices, right? It's probably not you. It's not you personally, in the sense that, it's not like they don't like you, so you're not closing deals. It's all about skills, right? Having the right skills for the right situations, the scale skills, the marketing skills, the pricing skills. And if you're not good at that stuff, you can hire others to do it, right? You can hire other folks for sales and other folks for marketing. The pricing stuff, if you're the main rainmaker, you should be able to do yourself. But at the end of the day, you should basically invest more in yourself. Figure out, like, inventory yourself. Like, where are you failing? Where are things that you can get better? If you're kind of like the solo practitioner right now, you're jack of all trades, a lot of the stuff you're going to have to get better at until you can delegate. But figure out where you are and then get better at it, right? Because at the end of the day, the more repetitive you do it, the more you do it, the better you become. Okay, and lesson number 26, avoid scarcity mindset. Don't be afraid to spend money to make money. Invest in growth opportunities. Scarcity mindset limits success, okay? So it's abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, and we're big on that. Our members are big on more of an abundance mindset, right? It's so important to understand that, it takes money to make money. That's why we're big on kind of like return on investment. Like, hey, if you work with us and if you are not making more money than you invested in us in a certain amount of time, we actually return that investment in full, right? And maybe you have a similar guarantee, maybe not, right? But it's all about just making sure that you're providing more opportunities and not being afraid to spend more to enrich yourself, right? You know, we all have, and if you're going to the gym, you get better by paying for a coach, right? They can probably put you light years ahead of what you can do yourself. Or even if you can't afford a coach, you go on YouTube, right? Same thing for financial information, for personal enrichment, right? There's ways that you can educate yourself, so invest in that as much as possible. Okay, next steps, go to taxplow.com. You'll see the link in the description if you want me to contractually guarantee that you will be able to close higher paying, recurring revenue business clients and high net worth individuals and are able to scale your firm as fast as possible. Subscribe to this channel, check out the other video, and I'll see you on the next video.